Go ahead, Member Garvey.
Okay, thank you. Well, welcome everybody to the special meeting for June 5th of the West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board. We have some tenders to do tonight, so may I have a mover and seconder for the agenda? Reeve Leverance and Mayor Robinson, that the agenda for June 5th, 2024 West Parry Sound Recreation and Culture Center Board is hereby approved as circulated. All in favor? Sorry. We're good? Okay. Our business is 2.1. A
Sorry,
resolution.
do you want a declaration of pecuniary interest, Jamie?
Oh yeah, I better do that. I'm rushing myself here. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Not seeing any. Okay. May I have a mover and seconder for the resolution that's on the table? Bruce Kelly and Reeve Liverance. And the resolution is that the board approve the award of the drywall tender package to Rosemar Drywall Limited with a total contract value of $1,469,269, excluding HST. And the board approved the award of the mechanical tender package to Kelson Mechanical Systems Incorporated with a total contract value of $5,898,732, excluding HST. Okay, so who's speaking first to this? Jason?
Happy to, Mr. Chair. The report outlines quite a bit of detail with respect to the tendering process and the costs associated and the variances between the Class A estimate. I'm happy to just quickly pass it over to Mr. Gordon, our project manager, who can speak in any more detail, but we're here to answer any questions you may have. Again, I think a fairly comprehensive report that outlines the situation we're in and why we're here tonight. So I see Mr. Gordon's available, and hopefully if he has anything to add, otherwise we're here for your questions.
Good evening, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, marvelous. We have two bids that have come in because of the nature of the variance from the construction manager's cost estimate. The variance exceeds the amount that can be approved by the steering committee and myself. We have to escalate this up to the NSB. I want to talk to the HVAC first, which is Kelson Mechanical. There's a variance there of $895,232. It's over what was estimated. A little background information. This package has been on the street now twice, trying to elicit people to bid the work. The first two times that it went out for bidding, nobody responded. The third time they did, and it came at that price. And the price is indicative of this particular trade, HVAC. It's a skilled trade. It needs specialized people. And this kind of work is typically found within the GTA area. So when you start getting further north, you're in that spot where you don't have that same collection of expertise. You can do pulls. So when we got the pricing in from Kelson, I asked the construction manager to ask why the price was so far out, and his explanations were attached with a recommendation sheet. Essentially, the geographical location was a big factor. We've been out a number of times, and there's a significant skill shortage, particularly in HVAC, which is tin work, plumbing, building automation systems. And it's the biggest single package on this project. And because we have a 6-lane pool, it's a particularly specialized package. So there aren't that many people who can do it well. Kelson have a long reputation and a good reputation, I think, of doing this kind of work. So are they capable of doing this work? Yeah, for sure they are. They're one of the better ones out there. Am I surprised at the price? Yes, But I think with those gentlemen working, I feel much more confident that we're not going to be paying 2 or 3 times for someone who came in low and couldn't do the work. I think these people are more than capable of doing it. We also have CS&P on the call, and CS&P and their sub-consultant Smith and Anderson have a long history with Kelsinar and are comfortable with this gentleman's bid or this company's bid and their ability to complete the work. The reason why I need to get this package on the books, for a better word, is that we have a rescon unit. It's a very large unit that we use for pools, and we have to build it within the structure of the building as we start to construct the West Perry Sound facility. We can take it out after the fact for maintenance, but it makes it a lot easier to install it within the building as we're constructing. There's 2 places you can put this unit. We can put it on the roof, or we can put it inside the building. We elected to put it inside the building because what it will do, it'll extend the duration of that particular unit by about 20 to 30%. So though we're paying a premium on the capital cost, the design is focusing in on long-term cost. So by putting it within the building, we use less energy, and we prolong the longevity of this particular unit and other mechanical units that we've got within the building. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask regarding this particular recommendation for HVAC, plumbing, and BAS, building automation systems?
Any questions? I am not seeing any. Okay, so do you want to go on to the next one then?
Yeah, the next one is drywall, and it's more than just drywall. It's drywall and acoustic panels. Again, I've got the architect available if you have any questions, CS&P. But essentially, the mechanical, the drywall price includes acoustics. So when we first did the design, we value engineered out the acoustical panels within the natatorium area and the fitness area. Seeing other projects of similar natures to this one, I advised the steering committee that, in my opinion, I think it's prudent to include for the acoustical panels. Yes, it is more money, but it will significantly enhance the quality of the building environment, especially in the natatorium area, where noise tends to get deafening when it bounces off hard surfaces. By having these acoustical panels in there, we are able to deaden the noise significantly. As we have said with the HVAC, drywall is extremely busy at the moment, but the addition of the acoustical panels, which is about almost $200,000, partially explains why the drywall acoustical package came in high. Now, I just want to add a footnote to this.
Okay.
This means that the total packages that have been bid, we're showing them being over the budget by about $148,000, but we have tender package 3 to go out, which has a combined value of 2.8369 million. And it is our intention to look at those outstanding packages, and we're very confident that we can pull back that money overage and bring it back into line.
All right. Mayor Robinson has a question.
Thank you, Chairman Garvey. Just because this is ISIP funding and we weren't able to stack funding on top of it, is there an opportunity with something like the acoustical panels, which I understand they're needed, they should be in there, but is that something that can be done almost right after the building is completed and then we can apply for STEP funding to put those panels in. I understand it would be an additional cost not having the original contractor do it, but with separate funding available to us, will more than offset that and put us ahead of the game a little bit. Because as we can see, I think we can all see we're starting to run pretty fast now, trying to keep ahead of this project, which is not a surprise because this, although there have definitely been some surprises, and I'm sure there'll be more discussion on that next week at our other meeting. So I'm just wondering, I guess that's the question, whether it's to the steering committee, a combination question, in terms of, is there something that we can delay a little bit and maybe access some other funding once the ISIP envelope is closed?
We did include those two prices for the acoustical ceiling panels and wall panels as separate prices. So they're included in the recommendation, but we have the flexibility not to install them or to install them. So we do have that flexibility, Mayor Robinson.
What is the savings if we can do it at this point in time?
If you do it now, the acoustical ceiling panels is an additional 88,825, and the wall panels is 109,725. That's built into the recommendation value at the moment. So what you would do, you would take those two numbers out. It's approximately 200,000, right?
Yep.
So you could pull that out if you so wished, but I put it in there because it gives us the flexibility.
And is that something that could be done afterwards then?
It would be more difficult, but yes, it is possible. You'd have to you couldn't work whilst the building was being used. You'd have to wait while the building wasn't being used, after hours, or close it down. Because all they are, you essentially nail them, you screw them to mechanically fasten them to the wall.
So with that, would,
The other
I
part
mean,
of my
it's a-
question, I guess, was to the steering committee. Is that, am I correct in saying we couldn't stack our funding because it was ISIP, and after the fact, would we be able to access different funding?
Through the chair, I'll take a quick stab. I think you're accurate. We could certainly install them afterwards and pursue alternate funding once the project is complete. Part of the reason it's in here is we would anticipate additional costs beyond what is quoted today because of the difficulty associated with installing these with an active building. So that was one of the reasons that we decided to include it in today's recommendation. But you're absolutely right, Mayor Robinson. It certainly could be added after the fact, once the building's open and running, and we could apply for grants. I can't confirm that we would be successful or not, but we certainly could.
So with that, okay, before I go to relevance, and Andy, with the ceiling, okay, because sometimes there's panels and everything go up with the ceiling, and then there's structures and stuff below that. Would it be a challenge to install the ceiling panels afterwards, given the infrastructure that might be below that?
Well, it could be done. Nothing's impossible.
Okay,
The ceiling panels, I think Saeed is on the line, but from CSMP. But I think the ceiling panels are in the fitness area, and in the natatorium area, the panels go in the wall. So natatorium is a little easier to get at because you're not looking over the pool, right?
okay, all right, good enough. Relevance.
And my question is, where has the drywall been sourced from? It's not a current issue, but I know in the past there were some issues with drywall sourced from China that caused rotten egg smells, corrosion of metal components, blackening of copper pipes, wires, tarnishing silverware, health problems, respiratory ailments, irritated eyes, and nosebleeds. So I guess my question is, where are we sourcing the drywall for this project from?
Now, that's a question for the architect. They were on the call, it must have dropped off, but typically we write in the contract that they have to be a CSA approved material, but I can get back to you on that. But typically in the spec, and I can't remember what this one says, I can't see why it would be different, but typically they ask for a CSA rated board, which means it has to meet Canadian standards.
Okay, thank you.
But I can validate that. I'd have to check twice on that one. I'm almost certain I'm right, but I'd have to check twice.
That'd be appreciated. Thank you. Councillor Kelly.
Thank you, Your Worship. Building on Mayor Robinson's excellent question about the panels, and then to mix and match. Obviously, you don't want to try and work over an open pool, but if you did the ceiling but didn't do the walls, which could conceivably be done easier with minimal mess and disturbance. So yeah, is it possible to slice and dice that into two parts?
Well, as I explained earlier on, I'm almost certain, in fact, I'm pretty certain that the ceiling has the acoustics in the ceiling is within the thickness area. And it's the walls in the natatorium that receive the acoustics. So you're not physically working over the pool. But again, I can I'll give you that confirmation. But I'm having gone through this so many times in my head, I'm almost sure that is the correct answer. The ceilings in the fitness area have the acoustics, and the walls have the acoustics in the natatorium. Unfortunately, the architect was here, but he's just not picking up the phone. I can't see them there.
No.
But he was on earlier on.
So, now that we have discussed this, is there an amendment to the resolution? Mayor McDermott?
Before you go there, just a question on the contingency. Have we touched it with any of these overages? Does anybody know?
I don't know. Not me.
You're through to Mayor McDermott. I don't know if Andy picked up that question or not, but I think I'll take a stab at answering it. I don't think any of the contingency dollars have been touched yet. So these funds would creep into the contingency, and I'll just reiterate a point that our project manager shared with everybody, that we still have nearly $3 million worth of tenders to tender out. We've had the value engineering discussion about the remaining scope of work, and we're confident that that overage that you see in this report can be recouped in the next $3 million worth of tendering. So again, it's at the call of the board. We're here to take the instructions that you want us to take forward, but we are recommending that these be included from an cost efficiency perspective, and we're confident that we can make that money up in the third tender packages.
And just for perspective, how big is the contingency?
1.5 million, about one. I can tell you exactly, but 1.5 is pretty close. It works out at 5%. And Mayor McDermott,
Okay.
we will be expending that when we get into the early work discussion work, because that's going on. That's where the biggest risk is on the project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Reeve Liverns?
I'll express my opinion at this point in time. I understand the desire to save and maybe layer additional funds, and I think that's a great objective. But at the same time, I would like us to have a finished pool at the end of this project, and not have to have redo or rework and introduce additional cost and or risk into the future. So my bias is going to be to go ahead and approve this as it stands.
Speaking from experience in the Stocky Center, I would have to agree with that. Yeah. Mayor Robinson? You're still muted, Mayor Robinson.
Unmuted. How's
Yeah,
that?
you're good now. You're good now.
Thanks. I don't want to get into what our discussion is going to be next week, but there's, in terms of the Class A assets and the tenders that we're getting and contingencies, we're going to blow through those once we actually start getting into paying contractors what they're doing. So I'm going to just so that I'm record with trying to do something to try and mitigate the expenses on this project. I don't know if there'll be support for it, but I'll make it as a friendly amendment that we actually take the acoustical panels out of the ceiling in the gymnasium area and in the natatorium area. Yeah, there's no support for that, but anyway, I'll make it as a friendly amendment.
Well, it's an amendment, so we would
I'm
need.
sorry, Mayor McGarvey, I didn't hear what the friendly amendment was. I heard cameras. Is that correct? No. What
Can
did
you repeat that, Mayor Robinson?
Yeah, to eliminate the acoustical panels in the ceiling, in the gymnasium, and in the walls of the natatorium from this drywall tender.
And I'll ask if there's a seconder for that. I am not getting a seconder. Okay. So is there any more discussion on the resolution? That we have. Deliverance.
Yeah, I think this, to Mayor Robinson's point, I mean, we still have $3 million of tenders to go out. And if we have the same kind of rude awakening on those that we had on these, we need to really sharpen our pencils as best we can. I understand the mechanical because it's gone out several times is particularly tricky. But wherever we can, we just need to really, I guess this goes to Andy, make sure that we really sharpen our pencils and challenge. I mean, just because a quote comes in doesn't mean you can't go back out and negotiate it again, right? You're on mute, but that's all right. I get it. So just put the pressure on you, Andy. You got to really
put his boxing gloves on. There
right.
you go.
Thank you.
Well, we went out twice for the mechanical.
Yeah.
Market is starting to turn, gentlemen and ladies. It's as I predicted, we were going to have a 4% increase this year. So the more work we don't get tendered out on the street, the more likely we are going to see increases.
Well, the lower interest rate should help.
Maybe.
Okay. Anything further on this resolution? No. I'm going to ask for the vote then. All in favor? Anyone opposed? One opposed. That's carried. Mover and seconder to adjourn. Mayor McDermott and Councillor Kelly. I guess all in favor. Okay, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time tonight to get this done. And I saw, was it last week you were in town, Andy?
I was there last week and I was there this week.
Oh, you were there this week too?
Outside your shop, yeah.
Okay, all right. Anyway, he has been on site, walking the grounds or whatever, and making sure that everything is going, happening the way it's supposed to, so.
There were 20 people on site today working with quite a few machines and we were blasting away and there was a lot of activity there.
Yeah, good. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. Take care.